let's talk about operating past your breaking point. Now, this topic kind of comes to mind just because of the framework of school. This is my first break in a while, I think, since the semester started. So somehow this just came up where it was like, I was just talking with my friend and was saying that like, oh yeah, school does a fantastic job of giving you a break just when you're feeling like giving up for the semester, right? We have, I think, 2 more weeks of classes before finals start up, and then we have to take exams, and then the semester's over. But up until now, we haven't had like a proper break off of school. So this is our first time in a while to like decompress and actually take our mind away from school, actually travel home and spend time with family, you know, get away from it all in a sense. And let me cross this road real quick while paying attention so I don't get hit. All right. But yeah, and then I kind of realized, like, even though it's like that where school, they give you a break right when you feel like you're about to give up, if anything, they are giving you a break like well after you've been ready to give up. Because I know a lot of people have been saying for a while now that either they're complaining about being overworked, being super stressed, which is pretty understandable considering the amount of workload that some of these people are under without any justified and like reasonable breaks in between, which is why I think you see a bunch of college kids, and that's the norm, to like go out on the weekend and, you know, party and drink to kind of escape from that reality of their everyday lives. But you know, that's another video that we can get into another time. But going back to the idea of operating past your limits, these past couple of weeks at the end of, not the end of school, but for the past couple of weeks before this break from school, I know so many people have just gotten sick. And you know, there are studies that show that stress is a very big inducer of, you know, a weakened immune system, and that large amounts of stress can impact the ability of your immune system to function at its highest performance and effectively. So in essence, if you're super stressed all the time, you're more prone to being sick and, you know, becoming ill. And I think that's what we've been seeing for the past couple weeks, at least around college areas. So many of the people that I know have just gotten sick these past couple weeks, and maybe it's a small sample size, so I can't really be too certain if it's a shared and collective experience. But from what I've seen, people have been getting sick, and, you know, maybe it's the next COVID coming around or whatever you want to call it. But maybe it's just people's immune system being weakened by stress because we're not given like ample breaks. Then again, you know, we could go back to saying, oh, that's soft, needing a break from school. It's not even that much work. It's like 15 weeks of school and then the semester's over. And, you know, that's also a valid point. And especially with this whole hustle culture in terms of self-improvement and, you know, just trying to get ahead in life in general, that consumes some people, or that other people consume that ideology. And I'm not trying to shit on it at all, because I also am an active participant in it. I do think that it's important to instill discipline in yourself and develop that for your own good. So I'm not trying to say that, you know, always doing hard things, especially when you don't feel like doing them and when you don't want to, I'm not going to say that's a bad thing all the time, because I think that's necessary to build your discipline. But sometimes hustle culture might take it a little too far in the overworkings of things, and they're like, oh, even if you're crippled and if you're immobilized, you have to still go to the gym, you have to still do all these things. And it's like, you know, maybe it's just another attempt at me trying to justify taking a break or whatever. But you know, listen to your body as well. I know a lot of people say that too, that you know, your body kind of knows best in some instances, and that if you listen to your body and it says, you know, hey, we're kind of breaking down under all this stress, you gotta give it some attention. You can't neglect that, because then you kind of put yourself in a compromising position. Again, balance, like with everything, you gotta have a nice middle ground, or even like slightly weighed on one side versus the other, rather than just going to the full extreme of anything. So yeah, I guess the advice, like I was just saying, is to kind of listen to your body sometimes, but then you also have to have the discernment to be able to tell whether or not you're just, you know, just being a bitch and be like, oh, I can stay home from the gym today because yesterday I hit legs, or yesterday I went for a run, so my legs are sore, so I can skip out on the gym. You know, that's not a valid excuse as to where maybe you saying like, oh wow, maybe I literally have COVID, or I literally am ill and I'm sick and I'm compromised in bed, and I probably, for one, should be respecting the health of other people to not go outside and not necessarily not exercise, but not go in crowded places like gyms to try to get people sick. And then also, like, you can still go for a walk, or, you know, exercise in your room, do some push-ups or something. Doesn't mean you have to be excused entirely from exercising if you don't feel well, but, you know, finding that balance. So that's gonna be all for today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Remember to stay on target.